So we're aware of how hard parenting can be, so we decided to start this show here at Mount Pleasant to talk about the things that parents go through, and our whole purpose for this is to produce some content that will help you to be a better parent. All this is just an encouragement, something that can help you and your kids, your family, and help us as a church just come together. So today's topic, actually, I'm here with Julia Hudson.
Hello.
She's our children's director here at our church. And today we were going to talk about the need of a local church in your community to help you, because it's extremely hard to do parenting alone. I am a new dad. Brittany and I had our first son, Gideon. He's 3 months old. So I don't claim by no means know everything really much about parenting, but there's enough things that as I go through it, I kind of wish that there was... I'm a video guy, so I wish there was a video series, 10 episodes of parenting for dummies on how to be a parent or what to expect or what, and so I guess this is kind of that too. And Julia,
you just get launched right in.
I jumped right in, but I have good help. And that's the thing is, but I wasn't alone. Had I really been alone, that would have been really rough. And maybe there's people that are alone and feel alone, and that's why we want to do this. So Julia, what are your credentials as a mom?
Well, I am... Do I have to tell my age? I've been a mom since I was 22. So, 30 years. Now I am telling my
30
age.
30 plus 22. Okay.
Okay. So, 30. Anyway, I have 3 kids, and there's a span of 10 years between my oldest and my youngest. I have a girl, a boy, and a girl. So, bookend by girls. Poor boy. But anyway,
They turned out all right.
Yeah, I definitely, God has blessed us with some great kids, but not for lack of some really poor parenting at times. I would love to come back. I could talk many hours about the poor parenting.
But there's not ever going to be that one parent that, if they're honest, can say, "Oh, well, yeah, I did everything right.
Oh, yeah,
I got it." I mean, no.
No.
I'm sure all parent is going to be marked with things that. And I really wish I didn't say that or did that and even us just having Gideon for 3 months, we get a little bit of that of just we didn't know. But we're going to talk about parent fails in a little bit.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the need of a local church, I think Brittany and I, having moved from California, being here, we didn't really have any friends or any family. We had you guys, both of you. Brittany grew up with you, but. Besides that, there wasn't much. If we didn't have our church family, it really would have been hard. I can't imagine people that aren't part of such a community that are trying to do this alone or with just a few people helping. We had the help of so many parents. Every time we come to church with Gideon, everyone wants to hold them. There's so many parents right now in Mount Pleasant. It's crazy. Yeah. And we can talk about all these things. The reason we knew Gideon had a tongue tie was because we knew of a couple parents at our church that had that, and they're like, "Hey, you should go look out for them." Sure enough, he had a tongue tie, and now he's better. Yeah. And little things like that. It's the advice and just knowing someone's there to listen.
Yeah.
So, what's your experience with the importance of a church and having community as you begin to parent?
Well, I mean, as I've been working in kids ministry for a long time, actually longer than I've been a parent. I started when I was 18. Oh. Teaching, I just kind of jumped in and started teaching VBS. So I have always loved kids. I've been around kids a lot. It's kind of just been my thing. I've always loved kids. I love people, though, in general. So I like a lot of ages. But one of the things, as far as like the church should be doing, I feel like for kids ministry or just having that community is obviously teaching your kids. We want to teach them about Jesus and about, how to do life with God. But also we want to be there for the parent. And that's one of the things that I feel like I'm just figuring out, because I've only been in the children's directory part for, officially for a little over a year. And so I've always just jumped in and helped to teach the kids, but there's so much more to it. The parents need a lot of help because the parents are the actual teacher and model, not me. Even though we like to see that, we want our kids to get something more and get the Bible stories in depth and all the fun that you can do and all the cool things.
We want to help.
Yeah.
But would you agree that it almost seems like as the culture changes, it could very easily become like parents may want the all the spiritual stuff. That's what church is for.
Right.
But our goal as a church, as a children and youth ministry, is to help you parents to be equipped that, yes, well, we will have them during Sundays. We will have our programs with them and we are going to teach them. The more important things to do is to help you as a parent to do those things, to know how to teach your kids the Bible, how to read, how to do all that.
To feel confident. And I would say we're failing at that. For me, I haven't reached that point in ministry yet to where
feeling like you're equipping parents enough.
I'm failing to equip parents because I really do think it's hard to know, especially if you don't know your Bible really well, or even if you do, it's just really awkward in the family setting because you don't just sit your kids down during the day and go, okay, we're going to have Bible story time. Although that would be great.
Some do. But not, it's not common. Yeah.
I feel like people who practice routine at home are probably more likely to do that. And so that's part of it. Part of it is just actually getting good at being disciplined, and stuff like that. So.
And that specific one is a topic for one of these videos at another time of how to have family time, reading the Bible, family devotions. People call it many different things. So that is a topic for another time. But you mentioned, the feeling of failing, like you're not equipping parents enough. Yeah. And I think that it's a cool ambition of yours to have to do that. But to just show you a little grace, I mean, really, it's as parents, we fail if we don't equip ourselves to raise our kids right. So, I mean, you're taking that burden on yourself. And as people who work at a church, we should care. And we do.
We fail forward, right? We fail forward. When we fail, it's a wake-up call like, oh, we need to do this. And as a parent or as a leader. Yeah.
And hopefully what we do with these videos, these short videos talk about different things is encourage you to be equipped and to be ready to when the time comes, you know what to do. You will be ready to lead a family devotion. You'll be ready to talk about hard topics with your kids. Confident. You said the word confident. You'll be confident to do these things. And that is our hope as a church, as Mount Pleasant. We want to be able to offer those things to you through workshops, through videos, through our Sunday service, our kids ministry, everything. We wanted to help you and equip you. So just a few things that we do as a church, in case some of you didn't know the things we do offer for parents. Some awesome things we received when Gideon was born was like being part of a meal train. The first couple of weeks when Gideon was born, I mean, you don't really feel like cooking. And let's be honest, it's more like the guy's going to we're either going to be buying drive-through or, take out all the time, or we're going to cook. And that doesn't always go well. But the church does this great thing where we have a meal train and people from our church sign up and take you meals. And that was such a blessing for us to be able to have, we had like 2 weeks. We didn't really, and so many leftovers, just a warning, so many leftovers. People are cooking for 8, and it was just 3 of us, but it was great. Another thing that we do, or another thing that is awesome about a church community is that there are a lot of people willing to babysit. Now, you don't know everyone, so it's not like you're just going to hand out your kid to anyone, but something about having community and people around is that you don't suddenly feel alone. Like if you want to, we went out on a date and we had friends that said, oh yeah, we'll watch your kid. And you go have a date and come back later. And that feels so cool to have friends that even though they had a kid, they were willing to do that.
Always. I mean, of course, Jeff and I have always been in the body of Christ, in the community of Christ. And I mean, we've lived far from family. We've all the way across the country in California. And just a body of believers, people that do life together. They provide everything that your family can and so, or can't, and they are your family. So, we always had, of course, we're the ministers of the church, and so are you. And so, everyone knows us, and not everyone may know you, but that's why we always are saying, get into a group, get involved, get to know people, because they become, you may have family right here in this community, and that's great, but it's just so nice to have more people, because it takes a lot to raise a kid.
Yeah.
I don't want to use Hillary's words. It takes a village, but
Oh,
it really
no.
does. I mean, it really does. It's a great line.
Yeah.
And so we hate to use her words.
And then as a church, something that we offer as Mount Pleasant is we have a great kids ministry. And we try to do things, you know, on Wednesday nights, we have our studies and we try to offer something for kids during church services so that parents can come and receive the word and not really be worried about chasing their kid. We do have a children's ministry going on at that time to help do that. And it's great stuff that the kids are learning. But again, as we would talk about, the goal isn't just to let us handle the spiritual development of your child. We'd love to help, but we really want to help you learn and grow so that you can do that as well. So children's ministry is great, and it's meant to be an aid, a guide, but it's not meant to be the only spiritual intake that your kid's gonna or should have. So that is, to us at Mount Pleasant, the importance of having a church and a community behind you is we get to help in so many different ways. And we hope that you choose to be plugged in or stay plugged in, find a group of people that are there for you and that you can be there for them. That is the whole point of why we push small groups as a church, and anything we do is have a community that can help you do things. So one of the segments you want to do is we're gonna talk now about some advice. What is some practical advice that you have, some things you wish you knew before you had a kid that now you get to share with hopefully a new parent or soon to be parent watching? Is what's one thing you want to help them with?
Well, you won't be surprised by this answer, but here's a funny one, kind of. You know, you can exist on 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Something you did not know, right?
Yeah.
You know that now. You can do it. Now, I didn't say function because, see, you've got your coffee right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't function well, but you can exist and
So
keep a child alive.
It's more like if you really think you need sleep or depend on sleep, if that makes you nervous, yes, it's possible. You can, you know, Gideon could have cried till midnight, goes down for 45 minutes, enough time to clean. I will have a whole segment on cleaning baby bottles, a whole rant about what America has done with all these bottles. And anyways, but like he'll go down and then I'll be cleaning bottles and then he wakes up again and then we feed him and then there's something else to do. And then it's 2 a.m. and then you think, well, he's just going to wake up in an hour. So I'll stay in this room or hold them. He wakes up, you know, total throughout the whole night, you may sleep 3 hours.
Yeah.
But then you go to work the next day and then you're awake.
Yeah.
It happens, but it doesn't last.
There's this moment where you think there's no way I can go to work, but you do. And you suddenly kind of wake up and you're like, okay, I guess.
But it's not meant to last forever.
No.
And hopefully
it doesn't.
You know, it's a week, it's 2, it's 3 as you're starting to get used to the baby and sleeping, and then you get used to sleeping less, but then the baby starts sleeping more.
It's getting a little better, right?
It's much better for us. It's really good for us, and I just feel bad because there are parents who don't see their kids older than us, but every kid's different and every parent's different. And
well, that takes me into the next thing that I was going to say, that, you know, things that you don't know. And one of them is parent guilt. And you deal with this, like, before you have kids, you think, well, my kid is going to be this and act like that. And you're confident in it. I mean, you see other families and you see them doing things and you're like, yeah, we're not going to do that, or we're going to do this. And my child, and it's sort of like you live in sort of like this, we do this with marriage too, like a dream world, sort of like a romance. It feels romantic. And then the baby comes. It's not very romantic.
My kid's never going to have a phone or an iPad.
Yeah.
My kid's going to learn to read and walk and everything fast. And
well, yeah.
I mean, mine will, but
it's just all that comparison. But what I realized is that as soon as I became a parent, I spent so much time feeling guilty. Now, you may not have gotten there quite yet, but you spend a lot of your waking hours feeling guilty about things you did or didn't do. And as they age, it just kind of can continue to get worse. And
I think he may be like, it's been 3 months, right? Not enough time for me to, there's not many things that we can or not do with him.
Right, you have to.
He eats and poops and sleeps.
Mm-hmm. But as life moves forward, you will, and you're getting ready to get there. You may have already started this game a little bit. There's the comparison game. And some of it's natural. Like you can't help it because it's outward stuff. So like, for instance, your baby walked at 10 months, but mine didn't walk till 15. Or mine's not walking yet. So wait, is something wrong?
Right.
What did I do?
Right.
Did I do something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Or is something wrong, and then you just start, like, everything starts clicking. Then it morphs into parenting skills and styles.
Yeah.
So so you start asking questions. How do they get their kid to sit still? How do they get them to listen? How do they homeschool?
So I ask those questions
like all these things.
To young parents. I'm like, oh, how did you get your kid to do this? Mine, being months away from being able to do those things, I just want to know. But there's always seems to be an older person in the room saying, it doesn't matter what they did. Your kid's going to be different. I'm like, well, I just want to know. But they're like, it doesn't. Yeah. And part of me's always thought that's the grouchiness. Their kid probably wasn't walking till 15 months. So they're just mad.
Probably.
But maybe, but it could also just be them trying to share wisdom in a mean way of saying, like, don't even try to nail it to science because it may not be the same just because your kids are different.
That comparison game is just, women tend to do this anyway, and as it's just not a good place to be, to compare your child or your unique child. We're each unique. Your unique child in your unique situation and family. It cannot compare to someone else's. And so I heard this about 10 years ago, and I've always remembered it, that comparison is the thief to joy. And it does. It just robs you. And our world we're not going to get into the digital stuff today, but I know you will eventually, but is so bad. The comparison is just, if you're on social media, you just see it daily, and you think that you're just a bad parent, and the parent guilt really gets you. And that's not where we're supposed to land.
Yeah, social media really is, and it definitely will be a topic at another time. But the reason it's hard is because as parents, we post the good pictures. Yeah. When they're smiling, when they're walking, when they're,
or funny ones sometimes.
Right, but
we're funny over here, you're not.
But we're not going to post about how hard it was for Brittany to breastfeed for a month because he had a tongue tie. You don't talk about that. It just hurts,
Painful.
But you know what moments. We did? But you know what we did post is that he's 3 months and like 21 pounds. I'm proud of that, But because as parents, we kind of choose to even play the game of, look at all the cool things we're doing. Yeah. But we don't talk about the hardships. And we feed the system as well, which may make a mom of a kid that's 3 months old think, well, my kid's only like 12 pounds. Like something's wrong with him. No, it's Gideon's chunky.
And it's not necessarily bad because we are capable of we are capable of bumping through the hard sometimes. And we want to just resonate on the milestones and the good. That's not a bad thing. You don't want to wallow down in all the misery of how painful it was. You definitely need to think about it and look at it and realize that it's a good process to get you where you are. But you don't want to just wallow around in the pain of it. You want to grow from it, and you do want to celebrate the milestones. And it is great. And as you look back, now I'm a parent of 3 that are out of the house. You look back and you don't wallow around in the misery of it. You just remember the high moments. And it's amazing how our brains are able to kind of like let go of that stuff.
Right.
And partly it's because of Jesus is how I believe. So I don't have a lot of other advice, although I guess I was going to tell some moms, one mom to another, this is going to sound maybe too secular, but there's some truth in it. And of course we want to trust God, of course, but trust yourself. And I want to say this, please trust yourself, because there are so many voices. And as one mom to another, you have like these maternal instincts, and you don't because you're not a mom. But there are dad instincts, I'm sure, that I don't know about, and maybe Jeff can come and talk about those. There are things that are just like natural, you know, and you want to have, you feel like you're never going to get it, but you do need to trust your instincts and pick people that can help you, that are trusted along the way. Not too many voices. Too many voices makes you crazy, but trusted. And if you don't have trusted people to help you find your way and to kind of boost your confidence, you know, like, yeah, that's the right thing, or no, maybe not.
I think that's where the paternal instincts kick in of, Brittany did say things like, well, you know, so-and-so said this and she said this worked for her. And what kicked in me, it's like, I don't care what they, like, your body is different and we're going through this separately, and we do what is, you know, best for So maybe it's not paternal. Maybe it's just the bluntness of a guy that's like, I don't care. We're doing, you know, this is what we need to do. I don't care if you saw this on Instagram or some post, because it's the same thing, right? A lady that maybe got lucky and her kid did this, and all these ladies think, well, that's what we have to do. And sometimes it's not ideal.
Yeah, we do have instinct, and I do think it's from God. And when you're a believer, you have the Holy Spirit. And so definitely you got to go to God, you know, that's we always saying go to God daily. So anyway, but I do think there is like, trust yourself. And some people haven't grown up in the best situations, and I don't really know what that would be like. And so they do feel unconfident. And I'm not saying do this alone. I'm saying with a couple of trusted family members or friends, people you really trust, but you listen, but then you kind of use your own. Yeah, I don't know that parents are told to trust their instincts. I think we're told to go read a book or something.
Speaking of instincts, another segment that I have here is I wanted us to talk about some parent fails. some things that maybe we neglected hearing our instincts and something happened, and funny or not, sometimes things happens as a parent. I think it's good to talk about those things. Hey, I messed up. I did this. I can laugh about it now. Then it wasn't funny. Because if we don't, then sometimes we can take this too seriously. I did one thing that could have been bad, but it wasn't. I just didn't think about this. I went to the dealer to get some work done on my truck, and it was supposed to be 30 minutes. So I sat in the waiting room with Gideon. I got him off the car seat. He was covered because it was cold outside. But I walk inside and it was warm in the waiting room. But he was sleeping, so I left him there covered. I ended up being there for 2.5 hours. And Gideon was asleep the whole time. But I didn't think about, like, removing the blanket because he was too warm. So then 2.5 hours later, I'm like, well, I look, and his cheeks were red, and he's warm, and he's sweat. Not like it wasn't bad. His cheeks were just red. He had a little sweat in the back. Yeah. But in the moment, I'm like, he overheated. He passed out. Gideon, wake up! And he just woke. He's like, what's going on? He was fine.
Oh, that's.
But in that moment, I thought this could have.
Yeah.
Check your kid more often, not just because he's sleeping. You know, and I debate. You see, here's the thing. I debated to ever let anyone know this happened. What are they going to think of me? That I'm not safe. My son's gonna no. I think it's okay to say. Now I know. You just check in on your kid. You lift up the cover. Oh, you know, take the blanket out. It's okay to talk about those things. As men, I don't think we want to admit that we mess up. Oh, I never mess up. My kid's perfect, but we do.
Yeah, and we do.
We need to talk about it more.
I mean, like I said before, sometimes you kind of forget the bad and you just bump through the highlights of your kid's childhood. So it took me a minute. I had to think, but there's definitely a couple of times. So I was always taking the kids to church because Jeff was already there, and I was always taking the kids to church on a Sunday morning myself, getting them up, getting them ready. That's one of the harder parts of being a minister's wife. And so well,
don't you just tell them to get ready and they get ready?
Well, yeah.
You just say,
I actually did have pretty good kids.
Because, my kids, when I say be ready by 8:30, they'll be ready. So.
That's right. Well, there would be mornings that were pretty challenging. And there was one particular morning, and I think it was when Savannah was a baby, and Alicia would have been about 10 and Mark was 6 and Savannah was a baby roughly. And I was always needing to get to church too timely because I wanted to make it to first service because I was typically teaching second service because I was teaching even then. I was always teaching. I love teaching, love kids. And so I am rushing and yelling, of course. That's what moms do, yelling to get everybody in the car. Hurry, hurry, you know. It was worse, I'm sure, than hurry, hurry. But we get in, and I'm really irritated. And we had a garage.
Oh.
I put the car in reverse.
I know where this is going.
I didn't back really fast, but I start backing up, and I back into the garage door, of course. And it did dent the garage door out a little, and it did scratch the bumper, but it wasn't too bad. But yeah, it just ruffles you. Right. And it was kind of a wake-up call too, because I think the parent fails are good wake-up calls, and especially when nothing bad happens. And it does teach you because you're like, okay, I need to slow down or whatever. And then the second one, poor Mark. There have been a couple with Mark, and it could have been his fault, honestly.
Probably.
But Mark got left at church one day, and we did
Mark's
not know. He wasn't real young. It was in California. I think he was like 8, 9, or 10.
He's fine.
Yeah, he was fine. And I don't even know what he was doing because there were no other kids. Like all of his friends were in the car, Brody and Wade, and Brody is Brittany's brother. So they were all in the car, but somehow Mark didn't get in. We thought he was in their car because that's how it was. We'd all pack into cars and go to lunch. Well, we thought he was in their car, and they just assumed he was with us. So we all take off, and we go all the way to the restaurant. I forget which one we were at, but 10, 15 minutes away. And we realize when we get there, like, where's Mark?
You didn't notice he wasn't talking, or
I can't even remember if he was by himself, locked, because there was gates at church everywhere, and all the gates were locked and everything. So he was
fine. He was safe.
I don't even know what he was doing. And those are the kinds of things that you get, muddled in your head. But yeah, that wasn't a very great
but parents
moment.
Nowadays would have thought like, well, my kid would have just texted me. Or,
yeah, exactly. And that was before phones. Actually, there may have been someone at church who did call us. But I don't even know if we had phones then. I can't even remember. I was like, we just drove back to church, I think, because we knew, well, he hopefully, and there's a little bit of a panic moment as a mom because you think, well, I hope he's there.
Right. Yeah.
Where else would he be? You never know with kids. They might just take off walking or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's.
Again, the reason of these being shared is to show you how these things happen to parents. It's normal, and it's okay to talk about them. And you said it's like when nothing bad happens, we can learn from it, better than if something horrible happens. And I learned that I'm not a independent guy that can do and go wherever I want without having to check in on this living little creature that's in this car seat next to you. Got to check in on your son. And Julia learned that you can't just get in your car and leave. You got to make sure that all your kids are in the car before you do.
Yeah.
You're probably going to in and out. That's what you're doing.
Probably. And, I feel like life is even more chaotic now, busy. And I think that wars against us and makes it hard. And when you're in fast moments is when you typically aren't paying attention. And it happens. Both of mine were when I was in a hurry.
Right.
So.
Well, we will end this with do you have any word of encouragement for any last thing you want to say?
I did write down a verse that has been standing out to me lately. And just as a parent, you're tired. And I am still a parent, and believe it or not, I still get tired because I still get caught sometimes worrying about even my kids who are grown and out of the house. And so this verse has been resonating with me. I'm going to read it. Matthew 11:28-29 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." And sweet rest. as a parent, you're like, I want rest and sleep. And even as a parent of older children, you can just get burdened down with worry and guilt and just comparisons and all the things that can just, but God shows us grace. He's a grace giver, and we just need to keep running to him because he's the one that gives us the grace to get through, and then we can extend that grace in our parenting skills, which is a whole nother topic because that's a hard one to extend the grace. We want to do the law.
We just have too many things to talk about. But we'll wrap this one up just for the time. We do want to keep these episodes short enough that we can talk about many of these things in our smaller section. So, Julia, thank you for joining me on our first episode for
It was fun.
our new thing we're doing for parents. And if you have any questions or comments or things you would like to hear us discuss in this with the different people we have coming, then let us know. We'd love to do that. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.